The scene we're looking at now is one in which Horatio is set up as an intermediary between this world and the next. The next world does seem at once present, the ghost is there, and also remote, the ghost is silent. That the ghost is there is indicated by his actual appearance. He comes at the most extraordinary moment. Bernardo begins to try and do a kind of resurrection of the ghost with words. He begins with an atmospheric piece of setting, when yon same star that's westward from the pole hath made his course to illumine that part of heaven where now it burns, Marcellus and myself, and you're thinking, come on Bernardo, get on with the story. But bear in mind always, no delay, no play. And yet with astonishing speed, the ghost actually arrives. The ghost will possibly arrive in the globe from under the trapdoor, and will have to look regal. So regal that when we actually get to lines such as, is it not like the king, we're actually confused as to whether Marcellus means the real king in a kind of treachery, or the past king, which would be even more treacherous. We're looking back to an old kind of king. Now, in the stage directions, you can imagine movement. You can imagine the ghost arriving. Look at the language, though. In the language, the ghost is present by its absence. Look, for example, at some of the broken lines, what I'm calling hypometric. There is a convention in Shakespearean acting that if you come across a line that doesn't fill out the whole requirement of the iambic pentameter, de-dum, 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 then an actor should stay silent for the duration of that line. So, for example, and perhaps not very revealingly, Bernardo says, last night of all, when yon same star that's westward from the... and on he goes. Now, that's not quite so revealing as a piece of hypermetrical writing such as this, or this. 'Tis gone and will not answer, dum-de-dum. You've got 3 syllables left, and there's no answer, and there's no ghost. And then they say, what think you want? De-dum, de-dum, de-dum. So there are 3 iambs not spoken. And Horatio says, before my God, I might not this believe without the sensible and true avouch of mine own eyes. Now, if you're in the audience, your own eyes now have nothing to see. The ghost is gone. But your ears have that silence, that refusal to speak. The refusal to speak is marked by the particularly intense repetition of that actual word, speak, stay, speak, speak, I charge thee, speak. That long vowel sound stressed here so much that this line doesn't make any metrical sense whatsoever. The urgency that comes from Horatio demanding this speech comes from the fact that he has been chosen as a scholar, as you notice. Thou art a scholar, that he is a scholar, and therefore can be a kind of intermediary, perhaps between one status and the next, but certainly between one world and the next. Look at the diction change of Horatio. What art thou hast usurped this time of night, together with that fair and warlike form in which the majesty is buried. Denmark did sometimes march. The king is called Denmark, just as Fortinbras later on in the passage will be called Norway. Note the formality of it, the indirectness of it, the indirect, the way in which the actual gist of the question is delayed, is remarkably formal, but also at one with the technique, the very gradual unfolding of the revelation that this is the old king, this is the ghost. When by the time we get to that moment, though, we have the ghost gone, but recreated, not only with a kind of tribute to the past and the past of honour, but also with the past tense, as if now, like Bernardo at the beginning of our extract, Horatio is trying to resurrect him, and this time to resurrect the memory of his glories. Now this taps this taps into a theme of the play we've discussed. James Shapiro talking about the lost honour when referring to the gallantry with which the Earl of Essex tried to conduct his campaign in Ireland. And also, as we'll see when we discuss it, a kind of looking over one's shoulder at the past that Emma Smith talks about. That's all section B stuff. For the part A technique, let's look at this. Such was the very armour he had on. That's the past tense to have. It almost looks like the pluperfect. When he, the ambitious Norway, combated, when he actually fought face to face with Fortinbras. Note, by the way, that these kings are called Denmark and Norway, as though Norway and Denmark are represented by the king, and vice versa, so that Norway and Denmark are attributes of these individuals. And then not just Norway, but also the Polacks. These are two campaigns, two confrontations noted. So found he once, when in an angry parle he smote the sledded Polacks on the ice. That is viewed in retrospect. The ghost is absent not only from the stage, but also potentially, unless we speak of him, in our hearts. Now, Hamlet isn't on at this stage, but if you're going to put this in the context of the whole play, bear in mind not only that Hamlet is mourning not only his father, but also that past, so that Claudius is like Hyperion to a satyr, but also, as the gravedigger tells us, that Hamlet was born on the day when old Hamlet did combat the ambitious Norway. So Hamlet's own presence is very bound up with what presence we can try to remember of the king.